IVM.
Long, long ago, not in Bethlehem, but in a place nearby, there was a wonderful birth of a huge show, which I like to call Cyrus Says. A show that encapsulates everything in human history, from the first Homo sapien to the last Homo sapien, who's traversed the entire world and then come back to India. This is a show which tells you everything about everything. If you want to know, avoid Google, come to us. It's called Cyrus Says. Get new episodes every Monday and Thursday on the IVM podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It's simple as A, B, oh God, what comes after that?
Cyrus Says is brought to you by Setu, your gut.
Hi.
You're
listening
to
IVM
Daily.
Hello and welcome to another episode of IVM Daily. My name is Abbas, and IVM Daily, of course, is a show where we talk about things. The IVM staffers talk about stuff that has caught their attention. And with me in the studio today is a fellow producer, production head, Swati.
Why do you have to mention this all the time?
Because we have to give everybody's hierarchy of where
really.
they are. So
yes.
I better be good to my new boss. So that's why.
By the way, Abbas, I was about to ask you something.
Yeah.
So the other day, if I'm correct, you were talking about pain in the chest. Are you all right?
I am. It was a momentary pain that I was.
So was it on the left side or the right side?
It was both sides.
Both
Yeah.
sides?
I was trying to fake it to get out of work, but then you made me work anyway. So, yeah, that didn't go anywhere. But pain in the chest is of course something related to the heart.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. We talk about
Yes.
about heart diseases, and specifically how heart diseases are affecting the Indian youth. Am I correct?
Yes, and that's the reason that I asked you these questions, because in India, cardiovascular diseases are turning out to be the biggest reasons for the rise in mortality rate, and unfortunately at very early ages. By early ages, I mean a certain bracket. Do you want to know the age bracket?
Yeah, and I want to know if I am in that age bracket or
Yes,
not.
you are.
What is the age bracket?
So the growing number of cardiac patients are in the age group of 30 to 40 years in India, with over 50% of mortality occurring in individuals aged less than 50 years.
Less than 50 years.
Yes.
That is very young.
And this data is actually based on many reports published in journals such as Journal of Clinical Diagnostic Research and also on healthy.The. But that reminds me that you were reading a report this morning, I think.
Yes, I was. It's actually a report that has been that's come out it's done by the researchers of Public Health Foundation of India, also known as PHFI, and the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And they've revealed some interesting facts, and I'm just going to give you a gist of what they've come up with.
Okay.
So the research was actually done from 2012 to 2014.
Okay.
And I told you this, and you told me that's how long researchers take. That studies done in 2014 have actually got a clear picture now. So they did this study across India, and they've actually tried to pinpoint places in India which have
highest risk,
higher to low.
Okay.
So again, the mean risk was between 13.2% in Jharkhand and 19.5% in Kerala.
Okay, so north and south divide.
Yeah, there was a divide. Like I said, they did this across India, and they've published this from various parts of India. And speaking of geographical locations, another point that came out in the study was people in North, Northeast and South India are at a higher risk than others.
Okay, north, northeast and south. So west is not...
Yeah, so we kind of probably are in a safe zone sitting in
seems
Mumbai.
like, yes.
Maybe, I don't know. And of course, this was done across... The study was done across all genders. So the gender-wise breakdown was in this way. They say the gender-wise risk varied from 5% among females in Assam to 30.4% among men in Kerala.
30.4%.
That's right.
Now that's really serious.
It is.
And I can see expressions on your face.
I did, because I always used to feel like Kerala is known as God's own country. It has nature, it has trees, it has greenery. And one would think that nature and greenery would probably lessen the risk of heart diseases.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stats show otherwise.
So, while you were tracing these facts, I was just thinking that the practical situation is that these all facts actually mean that we are losing out a huge section of India's productive population to
That's
this
true,
disease.
Yeah, I think we pride ourselves in the fact that India is a young nation and the youth of India is used as a positive or a plus point in most cases. But as these studies show, the youth of India is health-wise not really doing that well. So yeah, that's something to ponder over.
Yes, and as I mentioned, that productive population, we are losing out to this disease. But I just wanted to tell our listeners or remind them that if they are feeling very productive, they have a chance to express on this app called Haiku Jam, which we have discussed yesterday also, which allows everyone to write haiku. The topic that's trending today is healthy hearts. So test your creative skills and be a haiku jammer if you want to be.
Yep, so check it out. The app is called Haiku Jam. So on that note, we'll take a quick break, and after we come back from the break, we'll actually be speaking to a medical expert. We'll be talking to a doctor about heart diseases and how the youth is getting affected by it. We'll be speaking to Dr. Aashish Contractor. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back after this.
Hey friend, so if you're listening to a podcast right now, you're probably some kind of a nerd at heart at least. So maybe, just maybe, you might like another podcast about nerds, by nerds, and for nerds.
It's called Geek Fruit, a community to unite estranged geeks from across India and later on the world. We talk about television, movies, science fiction, adventure, fantasy, etc. Anything nerdy, it's all here on Geek Fruit. You can catch a fresh episode every Monday,
and you can check us out on any of your favorite podcast apps, like my favorite podcast app, the IVM podcast app. Give me my money, IVM.
Good plug.
Happy listening, you nerds.
Alright, welcome back after the break, and now it's time for our interview with Dr. Aashish Contractor. But before that, let me just quickly tell you a little bit about Dr. Contractor. Dr. Contractor is widely recognized as the pioneer of cardiac rehabilitation in India. He's currently heading the Department of Rehabilitation and Sports Medicine at a well-known hospital in Mumbai. Dr. Contractor is also the author of the book The Heart Truth, Everything You Wanted to Know About Prevention, Treatment and Reversal of Heart Disease. So let's talk to Dr. Aashish.
Welcome to IVM Daily, Dr. Contractor. Me and Abbas were just going through the data that says the emerging challenge for young Indians is related to their heart, which is cardiovascular diseases. The cause of deaths under 40 is rising. So what is the most common risk factor which is responsible for this kind of situation? Is it lifestyle?
Okay, so thank you, Swati. Yes, the death rates are rising due to cardiovascular disease, and cardiovascular disease actually is multifactorial, and lifestyle does play a role.
Yeah.
So through lifestyle, smoking is part of it. Through lifestyle is connected to, say, your diet, your exercise, which again is related to things like your blood pressure, your cholesterol, sugar, diabetes. So all of these do have a lifestyle connection to them, as well as, there is even a higher, if I might say so, genetic risk to which Indians are typically predisposed.
Okay, so when we say lifestyle, does it mean physical inactivity, unhealthy diet, or the kind of lifestyle which is there in our urban centers? Would you call them responsible for this alarming situation?
Yes, they certainly would contribute. So as you correctly pointed out, physical inactivity is definitely a big one. The food you eat, which again directly connects to things like your weight, like your sugar, etc., is very important. Stress is an important factor as well, which tends to be higher in big urban centers like ours. Stress is actually something which you can't measure, so it's very difficult to quantify it. But we do know that stress contributes both directly and indirectly to cardiovascular disease, as well as things like sleep, as well as newer factors like pollution. they're all responsible.
Yes. So another thing that came to our mind was that do you think that this rising number of patients and deaths is somewhere related to the lack of access to quality health care in this country?
So that's an interesting question. At least in urban centers for cardiovascular disease, I don't think that there is lack of access to healthcare. There is access. Some of these lifestyle-related issues are not directly related to lack of access.
Okay.
In smaller centers, rural centers, yes. So I don't think lack of access may be responsible for heart disease happening or forming inside the body, but that lack may be responsible for not getting timely care once it happens. Let's put it that way.
Okay. And what are the management strategies to keep our hearts healthy? Like you pointed out, stress is one common factor which can happen to anyone, right? From a child, to adult, to a working professional, to anyone in various different forms. So what strategies would you suggest people to keep in mind to just manage their hearts?
Yeah. So obviously what I'm telling you is, if I may call it general advice, and it would really matter person to person.
Yeah.
But to put it very simply and broadly in general advice is just get more physically active, be on your feet more during the day as opposed to sitting, walk more, use the steps more instead of taking the elevator, get more active. You need to take care of your food. Several different types of approaches are there to good eating, but I'll give you a simple one point is just make sure your quantity of food is under control to keep your weight under good check. Get adequate sleep. That's often underrated. Try and get at least 7, ideally 8 hours of sleep a night. Make sure that you try and keep your stress levels low. Obviously, that's much easier said than done, but that's something you need to be aware of. And periodically, get simple things like your cholesterol, sugar, blood pressure, weight checked up.
Okay, so these are the measures that can be taken, and if taken care of it, we might be able to fight it out, but let's see how it goes.
You reduce your risk. Let's put it very simply, right? You reduce your risk. There is no guarantee that if you do something, you never eliminate risk completely, but you reduce your risk. There has been enough data in the Western countries to show that once they went after reducing these risk factors, heart disease rates dropped dramatically.
Yes, definitely. It can be one of the... you have given a very fair advice to everyone that, check your stress levels, which might be the biggest reason for all of us. Thank you so much, Dr. Contractor, for joining in. And we look forward to talk to you again on this show someday.
Thank you, Swati. Look forward to it.
Thank
you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So, Abbas, what do you think you're going to do now?
I'm going to take a lot less stress because, as Dr. Contractor said, stress is one of the primary causes of heart diseases.
I'm so happy that you learned something.
I did, yes. Work equals stress. So I think I'm done for. I think I'm done for the day. Can I go home now?
Yes, please. Don't blame me for your stress.
I won't do that. So that was our show for today. I hope you liked it, and I hope whoever's listening to this will act upon what Dr. Contractor said and take care of yourselves, because we want young people to grow old and enjoy their lives in their old age. And you can always reach out to us if you have questions or comments about our show. We are on all the social media platforms. You can find us at IVM Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can find me personally on Twitter at Abbas Momin and Abbas Momin 88 on Instagram. And Swati, where can one find you?
You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Swati Bakshi02.
So there you have it. We'll see you on another episode of IVM Daily tomorrow. Till then, have fun and bye-bye.
Bye.
As you can see, we have a podcast listener in his natural habitat. Billions of years of evolution have led him to this point. He's on his way to work, and listening to podcasts makes his miserable day better. He will now head to work and use all his knowledge to communicate with other colleagues and possibly future mates. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcasts.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out all the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.